Very good evening to all of you. I hope all are well. हेमंत ज्योति कैसे हैं सब लोग? Very good evening, beta. And yes, Sancheti also. Very good evening. So today topic is demand and recovery, and chapter is small, but we need to understand in detail. These are the new topics which you might not have come across with the inter-study. Correct now. So again, that will goes for 2 class. So today we will discuss almost half, and then balance we will discuss in the next class. Now, what is the definition of appellate authority tribunal? That whenever it will come, we will discuss. Point is, whenever the tax, interest and penalty will be determined, it will be either under section 73 or 74 majority of the case. We have discussed already assessment chapter, correct? Section 73 and 74 deal with the manner in which the tax liability of the person should be determined in case of 5 mistakes. What are the 5 mistakes? एक बार आप याद करो and tell me. Tax not paid, tax short paid, erroneously refunded, wrongly ITC availed, or wrongly utilized. These 5 mistakes. Correct? So Gyanendra, आज मेरे को please tell me at the end. I will give you the link for the next Sunday afternoon class. ठीक है? The difference is, yes, very nice beta, very nice. So मैं अभी हम लोग will keep everyone, so you can type in everyone. So अभी तक chat private था. Now you can type to everyone. You can select everyone name. What is the difference in 73 and 74? 73, 74, the incidence of the short payment or non-payment or erroneously refunded or wrongly availment or utilized ITC because of inadvertent bona fide mistake, or it may be deliberated attempt. If it is a deliberated attempt, means fraud, willful statement, then it is covered in section 74. And if it is unintentional, then it is covered in the section 73. Okay. Now we'll discuss the limitation period, so cause notice, everything we will discuss. Let me start with the 73. Okay. In case where the non-payment, short payment, erroneously refund, wrong availment or utilization is on account of the reason other than fraud, willful misstatement or suppression of the fact by the person chargeable with the tax, the officer shall issue the notice on the person chargeable such tax, requiring him to show cause why he should not pay the amount specified in the notice. Perfectly okay. The officer, before issuance of the notice, now before notice, try to understand, the नोटिस के पहले भी एक स्टेज आता है 73 74 में. द ऑफिसर में बिफोर सर्विंग द नोटिस communicate the details of tax, interest, penalty as ascertained by him in the prescribed form. And what is the form? Just for your understanding, I am telling you the form number, but otherwise आपके exam के point of view से it is not relevant. Only for your understanding, I am telling you. The prescribed form is the DRC 01 capital A. It is before so cause notice. What is the so cause notice form? DRC 01. And what is the order? Order will be issued in the DRC 07. Okay. I will try to show you either today or in the next class the DRC 01A sample format, DRC 1 and DRC 7, so that you will have the practical understanding. Okay. The proper officer may before servicing of So-cause notice communicate the details, interest and penalty in the prescribed form to the person chargeable with the tax, interest and penalty under section 73. ज्योति, वो जो ASMT 10 है ना, वो है सेक्शन 61 का असेसमेंट, असेसमेंट ऑफ स्क्रूटनी ऑफ रिटर्न, उसका फॉर्म है। 73 का फॉर्म दिस इज DRC 01A, ठीक है। So-cause notice would specify the amount of tax along with interest and the penalty leviable under the provision of this act or the rules meant thereunder. The notice should state the ground based on which such demand is raised, so that the person against whom the notice is served aware about the basis of the demand. The rate of interest, we all know that 18% per annum. Now, every notice, obviously, it is not infinite time. Any assessment would have the definite time period. Like what you have discussed, the time limit of assessment. हमने जो assessment का chapter discuss किया था, what was the time limit to do the assessment? Yesterday we have discussed. Tell me, time limit to do the assessment. The answer is 5 years. In the assessment topic we have discussed, the time limit is 5 years. In the 73-74, it is 3 to 5 years that we will discuss. Okay. Now, what is the time limit to issue the notice? पहले मैं आपको ब्रीफ में बताता हूं. This is time limit to file annual return. Due date of annual return. What is the due date of annual return normally? What is the due date of annual return normally? 31st December. Add 3 year. Add 3 year. What is the due date? What is the date comes? 31st December. Let's say it is 25. We are talking about 24, 25. Then 31st December 2028. ये क्या हुआ? This is the last date of 73. For what? Notice or order? It is order. Then reduce 3 month. Reduce 3 month. Minus 3 month. What will come? Kindly confirm the date. What date? Which date will come? 30th September 2028. And this is the last date to issue the so-cause notice. Under section 73. Under section 73 I am talking about. Okay. Now let's read. See, that last date to issue the order is given in 7310. Last date to issue the notice is given in subsection 23. The notice should be issued at least 3 months prior to the time limit given for passing the order. What is the time limit of order? 7310 talks about the time limit is 3 years from the due date of furnishing annual return. For the financial year to which the tax not paid, short paid, ITC wrongly availed or utilized, and they have excluded, or 3 years from the due date of refund. From the date of the refund, point to be noted, might be the refund has been pertaining to the financial year 22-23, but he has taken the refund in, let's say, 24, 25. So regarding the refund, it is not regarding the refund. It is not have the linkage with the date of annual return. It has the link for the actual date of disbursement. वो डेट जब उसने रिफंड लिया है, the date on which he has taken the refund. ठीक है. Then effectively, I can say the time limit for issuance of the notice is 2 years 9 months from the due date of annual return to which the demand pertain, or from the date of refund. Where the notice has been issued for any period on a person chargeable with the tax, if such person commits such default, instead of issuing the detailed notice, mere statement. So now I can say the replacement of the notice is the statement. Means notice की जगह statement भी दिया जा सकता है. Instead of the notice, they can give the statement. when the notice has been issued for any period on a person, if such person commits such default in some other period, let's say the notice has been given for 23-24. Now the same default has been committed in 24-25 or some tax period. Okay. Instead of issuing the detailed notice, mere statement containing the details of tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, ITC wrongly availed or utilized can be issued. This would expedite the adjudication process by avoiding the duplication and reducing the repetitive paperwork. Okay. Very simple. Why person chargeable to tax instead of tax? See, so they are saying, so they have see the basket is taxable person. Okay. Out of the taxable person, they are saying to whom they will issue chargeable to tax, means on which the demand is being raised. So only the nomenclature has been given. See, they will determine the tax interest penalty out of which they are saying that yes, these are the person जिनके ऊपर हमें डिमांड रेज करनी है, सो द चार्जेबल टू टैक्स. ऐसा कोई मेरे हिसाब से ज्यादा फर्क नहीं है. Service of the notice shall be deemed to be the service of the so cause notice. Service of the statement, जो स्टेटमेंट सर्व किया ये मान लिया जाएगा कि उसे नोटिस सर्व हो चुका, सब्जेक्ट टू द कंडीशन दैट grounds relied upon for such tax period are the same as mentioned in the earlier notice. अगर different है तो statement से काम नहीं चलेगा. If it is different, then statement will not work. Now, what I have told you, that now I am coming to the penalty part. So, correct. One is the three form I'm talking about: DRC01A, DRC01 and DRC07. This is the order, 3-year time limit. This is the so cause notice, and this is the, normally we are seeing pre-consultation notice. Pre-consultation notice, it means department is sharing. If you are ready to pay, then you can pay. Why these three? Because the quantum of the penalty would be different. Quantification of the penalty would be different. Now let's understood what is the quantification. See, for one period, we have determined that Mr. A has not paid the tax or has short paid the tax because he knew that certain supply was taxable at 12%, but actually tax rate was 18%. Assume. So they have served the notice. Now this mistake was committed in the next period also. So again, in the next period, the person are not required to issue the so cause notice. The officer are not required to issue the again complete so cause notice. They can merely give the statement. This statement, basically I can say reduce paperwork. It will reduce the paperwork. It is a simple statement showing the demand, tax, interest, penalty, whatever. Correct. So again, giving the so cause notice for another tax period is not required. That is they like to say. Now, the law provides an opportunity to the person eligible with the tax to pay the tax interest before notice. Law provides an opportunity to the person eligible with the tax to pay the tax and interest before the notice. Correct? It stipulates that in such case, no notice shall be issued and no other consequence like penalty for the default. It means if the person ready to pay the tax along with interest before so cause notice, अगर वो टैक्स और इंटरेस्ट पे कर देता है, like I talked about प्री कंसल्टेशन नोटिस के बाद में, in that case there would be no penalty, there would be no so cause notice. The person who is chargeable with the tax but has not paid the tax or short paid the tax or wrongly availed the ITC, utilized the ITC or erroneous refund may voluntarily come forward to pay such tax along with interest before so cause notice, as the case may be. Either he voluntarily come before, or officer can issue the DRC 01A. This is called as a pre-consultation notice. If he is doing so, then no penalty. In such case, he has to pay the tax along with interest, either on the basis of his own ascertainment or as communicated by the officer. Further, he need to inform the officer in writing of such payment. What is the basis? It will not the manual letter. It will be the DRC 03. So the communication to the taxpayer for payment, communication by the taxpayer for payment of tax to the proper officer would be the form DRC 03. The officer shall issue an acknowledgement. This acknowledgement will also be given in the DRC 04. See, in the GST regime, now everything is online. In the GST regime, now everything is online. Nothing, there is no like hard copy, paperwork, etc. Nothing. Excepting the payment made by the person in the prescribed form. Okay, where such person has made partial payment, what happened? The taxpayer is required to pay rupees 400, but he has paid only 250. Then obviously, for the balance part, the officer will issue the so cause notice. Correct? Huh? When the so cause notice will not be given if he has paid the full payment, if he has discharged the full liability. If he has not discharged the full liability, then for partial balance amount, obviously they will issue the notice. If such person has made the partial payment, he makes such submission in the prescribed form. Such voluntary payment can be made even if the mistake pointed out by the department before so cause notice. Where such voluntary payment is made, department shall not serve any so cause notice or statement. The matter closed at this is this itself, and no penalty is imposed if we make full payment. But if we make partial payment, then yes, the point which I discussed will be discussed later stage. Option of paying the tax and interest before SCN so as to avoid the SCN and so as to avoid the penalty. Only in those cases where tax has not been paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, availed, utilized for reason other than fraud or willful misstatement or suppression of the fact, because we are reading section 73. Now, will there be same provision for section 74 or there would be the different provision? That we will discuss in some time. But as of now, it is saying, that it will not be the same, obviously. Hemant, no. So there are some relaxation that we will discuss. Just wait for some time. What is the quantum of the penalty that we will discuss, and what stage the penalty would be? In the 73, they are saying, even after SCN you pay, will not levy any penalty. After the person has voluntarily paid the tax along with interest, if the proper office is of the opinion that amount voluntarily paid fall short, then he can issue the so cause notice in respect of which amount is fall short और अमाउंट इज एक्चुअली पेबल. तो जितना डिफरेंस है, डिफरेंस के रिगार्ड में वो पे कर सकते हैं. द पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स आफ्टर इश्यूएंस ऑफ SCN. नाउ हेमंत, आपका क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे डिस्कस होगा. If any person is chargeable with the tax, not paid, short paid, etc., and issued a notice or a statement missed the opportunity to pay the tax along with interest before the SCN. Now SCN के पहले उसने पे नहीं किया, ठीक है? He has another chance to discharge the tax with interest with nil penalty provided payment is made within 30 days. तो यहां पर उसको कितने दिन का टाइम दिया है? 30 डेज का टाइम दिया है. अगर वो 30 डेज में मिस कर देता देन देयर विल बी द पेनल्टी ऑफ 10%. ठीक है? So I think we can say that one more opportunity has been given. In other words, where such person pay the tax demanded along with interest within 30 days, no penalty shall be payable, and all proceeding in respect of the notice shall be deemed to be concluded. Adjudication, where any so-called notice or statement is issued to the person chargeable with the tax, he may furnish the representation to the proper officer in his defense if he is of the view that he is not so liable to pay the whole or part of the amount mentioned in the so-called notice. Obviously, we are giving the reply to the so-called notice. The officer, after considering the representation made, if any, pass an order determining the amount of the tax interest penalty due from that person. Fine. So quantum of the penalty, कितना है? 10% of the tax or 10,000, whichever is higher. The quantum of the penalty will remain same whether the tax amount along with the interest is paid within 30 days from the communication of the order or even after 30 days. मतलब quantification penalty का same रहेगा. It means 74 में same नहीं रहेगा. So अभी हमने 4 बात कर ली. We have discussed 4 thing. Let me write in one Excel sheet so it will help and we'll do the comparison with the 74. ठीक है? हम एक comparison भी कर लेंगे. It will help us. Section 73 and section 74. Now, reason of notice. What is the reason of notice? What is the reason of notice? Please write all the 4 reasons, all the 5 reasons. Please write all the 5 reasons. Tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, wrongly, ITC wrongly availed or utilized. Same. Cause of mistake other than fraud, willful misstatement or suppression of fact. Okay. Now, before SCN, tax along with interest, no penalty. After SCN, tax along with interest is paid within how many days? Within 30 days. Then no penalty. After order, if tax is paid along with interest within 30 days, no penalty. After order within 30 days and after order after 30 days. So we'll write then 10% penalty and here also 10% penalty. Okay. I think we all are at same place. We are all at same page. We are clear till now. Okay. Okay. Do one more thing. That, please write. Please write the time limit to issue SCN and time limit to issue the order. Order का time limit क्या है? 3 years from the due date of annual return, or in case of tax not paid, short paid, ITC wrongly availed or utilized. And second, 3 years from the date of erroneous refund. करेक्ट ना? यही होगा ना? And it will be minus 3 months from the last date of order. So in other words, we can say 2 years, 9 months. Okay. So we are almost clear with all this stuff. आगे बढ़ते हैं. And this chart I will help you. This chart will help a lot, and I will arrange to provide the same to all of you. Okay. ये चार्ट हम ही बना रहे हैं ना, मतलब we are basically, rather I should say, I am making with the help of you all. I am trying to make with the help of you all, so definitely it will be provided. क्वांटम ऑफ द पेनल्टी में एक बात मैं लिख देता हूं. क्वांटम ऑफ द पेनल्टी में मैं एक बात लिख देता हूं. 10% of tax or 10,000, whichever is higher. Now let's move to the another part. Okay. Notwithstanding, very, very important. 73 subsection 11 says, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 6, subsection 8, subsection 9, before SCN, after SCN, correct? The penalty shall be payable where amount of self-assessed tax has not been paid within a period of 30 days from the due date of the payment of the tax. Now this created different situation. अगर सेल्फ असेस्ड टैक्स है तो पेनल्टी देना ही होगा अगर आपने विद इन 30 डेज पे नहीं किया. नो, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ सेल्फ असेस्ड टैक्स, दैट वी विल डिस्कस. The meaning has been given, which we will discuss either today or tomorrow, but only point I like to tell you, 1 minus 3B, GSTR 1 minus GSTR 3B. So one you have reported with 1 lakh ka liability, GSTR 1, but while making the payment through 3B, you are only making the payment of 60,000. So this 40,000 is nothing but the self-assessed tax. So if it is not paid within 30 days, then not from notice, not from order, it is from the due date of the payment of the tax. What is the due date of the payment of the tax? We have discussed in the revision class today. Correct? Due date of the 3B. तो क्या होगा? Notwithstanding anything contained, अगर कोई self assessed tax है, अगर वो पे नहीं किया, then penalty would be leviable always. From 7311, it is clear that non-payment of self-assessed tax or the amount collected as representing the tax has been treated differently than the other non-short payment as referred to in section 73(1), where penalty can be reduced or can be waived. However, in case the non-payment of self-assessed tax or the amount collected as representing the tax, दोनों ध्यान रखना, या तो self-assessed tax or any amount collected as tax. For example, I am a composition dealer. Can I collect the tax? I am a composition dealer. Can I collect the tax? Answer is no. I can't collect the tax. But see, you being a customer, you will not be able to understand from my GST number that I am a composition or not. मेरा GST नंबर देख के आप कभी आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाएंगे कि whether I am a composition or not. In that case, if I have collected the amount from you that it is a tax, I'm a restaurant, taken the registration under composition. You all know that GST is 5%. Gyanendra fully agree. Portal से मालूम चल जाता, but normally customer will not check the portal etc. at the time of the transaction. तो आप मेरे यहाँ पे खाना खाने आए, मैंने आपको 5% GST चार्ज करके दिया, then obviously it is quite clear for all of you that restaurant are having the 5%. You might have paid the tax, but I have not collected the tax. I am not eligible to collect the tax, but still I have collected by showing as tax. Then this amount will also be paid. This amount will also be paid, whatever as per the due date, as tax. Where penalty can be reduced or waived, however, in case of non-payment of self-assessed tax or amount collected as representing the tax has to be paid within 30 days. Penalty is mandatory and there is no waiver. Amount collected as representing the tax referred to an amount shown as GST in tax invoice, even if no tax was payable on that transaction. Amount collected as representing the tax referred to an amount shown as GST in tax invoice, even if no tax was payable on that transaction. Or yes, or exempt पे collect कर लिया. Absolutely correct, beta. Very nice. Or my transaction is exempted, but still I have collected the tax. Therefore, if the tax was collected in the tax invoice, it is to be deposited with the government, even if no tax was actually payable on that transaction. In case of the non-payment of self-assessed tax and amount collected as representing the tax, only opportunity for paying the same without any penalty is 30 days from the due date. The option to pay such tax before SCN or within 30 days of SCN and avoiding the penalty option is not available in two cases. Which are the two cases? Self-assessed tax में या amount collected as representing the tax में. Penalty under section 9 shall be payable where any amount of the self-assessed tax or any amount collected as tax has not been paid within a period of 30 days from the due date. Now, one clarification has been given by circular. I think 76 was circular. I'm not sure. Number was circular 76. I hope it will be written somewhere. This is circular 76. What does it mean? Now try to understand. I have made the sale in the month of January. Okay. Now, because of any reason, my due date of January is 20th Feb, assuming I'm monthly taxpayer. Now, because of any reason, I could not file my GSTR 3B for 1 month. I could not file my GSTR 3B within 1 month. But let's say for next month, I have filed my both 3B. After 30 days, मैंने जितनी भी 3B थी वो सारी फाइल कर दी. After 60 days, मैंने जितनी भी 3B थी, I have filed all the 3B. What is 3B? What is 3B? Self-assessed tax 1 minus 3B. अगर मैंने 3B मान लो 2 महीने बाद फाइल की है, 3 महीने बाद फाइल की है, then it is actually coming under this provision now. I have self-assessed tax but not paid the tax to the government within a period of 30 days. अगर 3B after 30 days फाइल हुई है, then it means compulsory penalty of 10%. Try to understand, my dear friend. जहां पे भी 3B लेट हुआ आफ्टर 30 days, the penalty might be levied by the officer considering 73 subsection 11. Correct? For that they have given the clarification whether penalty in accordance with 73(1) should be levied in case where the return has been filed after the due date. The clarification has been given by Circular 76. The provision of 73(11) can be invoked only when Section 73 are invoked, and the provision of 73 are generally not invoked in case the delayed filing of 3B. Try to understand. Circular 76 is saying if 3B has already been filed, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? उसने टैक्स तो पे कर दिया. He has paid the taxes, so can the 73 be open? Answer is no. If 73 is not open, then 73(11) is also not being invoked. Clarified that penalty is not payable for such case. It is further clarified that since the tax has been paid late, general penalty can be levied. This line has created a lot of problem practically. What happened? Now they are saying, yes, we will not levy the penalty of that 73(11), but they are again opening the Pandora box that officer can levy 50,000 ka penalty, because we are reading CGST Act 25,000, similar amount SGST. तो 50,000 का पेनल्टी वो लगा सकते हैं. Oh my God. Now the time limit for passing the order, we have already discussed. The proper officer shall issue the adjudication order within 3 years from the due date of furnishing annual return to which it pertain, or in case of refund 3 years from the due date. What is the section 44? Annual return. What is the due date of annual return? 31st December. Now annual return is not applicable, or it is optional for taxpayer having the turnover up to 2 crore. It is not applicable. No, it is not applicable. It is applicable to all registered person. They have given the relaxation, or they have given the optional option hai. Or if you see, whenever you will go into that particular discussion later on, they've used the word अगर 2 करोड़ तक आपकी टर्नओवर है और आपने एनुअल रिटर्न फाइल नहीं किया, तो उन्होंने कहा इट विल बी डीम्ड टू बी फाइल्ड. इट विल बी डीम्ड टू बी फाइल्ड. तो डीम्ड ऑन द ड्यू डेट. तो मतलब क्या हुआ उस केस में? क्या हुआ? जिसने फाइल नहीं किया बिकॉज ऑफ 2 करोड़, तो उनका मान लिया जाएगा कि 31 दिसंबर को फाइल हो चुका है, एंड जो भी इनकी मतलब रिलेवेंट टाइमलाइन है वो ट्रिगर हो जाएगी. आई होप इट इज क्लियर. Now, section 74. Everything is same. Everything is same. What is the difference? Everything is same. What is the difference? Let me directly open that part. First is time limit to issue the so-called notice. The notice should be issued at least 6 months prior to the time limit for passing the order. What is the time limit for passing the order? Said order has to be passed within 3 years from the due date of furnishing the annual return to which it pertain, or 5 years from the date of refund. Now let me open that chart. I can say this. Let me copy paste. So I can say this 3 year will be 5 year, and minus 3 month will be minus 6 month. So I can write 4 years and 6 months. Okay. Now, what is the penalty that we will discuss? If GST tax not paid, short paid relate to the 23-24 financial year for which due date of GSTR 9 is assuming that Feb 2024 25. Assume that the due date of GSTR 9 is Feb 25. Now tell me what will be the last date to issue the so-called notice, and what will be the last date to issue the order for both 73 and 74. Please do this exercise and give me in the chat. आप मुझे लास्ट डेट चारों का बताइए कि 73 का नोटिस इशू करने का लास्ट डेट क्या होगा, ऑर्डर इशू करने का लास्ट डेट क्या होगा, सेम फॉर 74. Giving you 1 minute. Please calculate and tell me. No issue. So whatever you will say, I will write. I'm not checking for the time being. 73, you all are saying last date to issue the SOCO's notice is 30th November 2027. And what is the last date to issue the order? Order is 28 Feb 2028. I hope anyone who is disagreeing, kindly confirm. And what about section 74? I can simply copy and paste and add 2 more here. And 30th August और 31st अगस्त होगा ना ये, 31st August 2029. Will it be 30th November 2029? I think it is -6 month na. It is -6 month beta. So I think it will be 31st August 2029. Everyone and all are clear? Any counter answer or any contradictory answer, please let me know. ठीक है, आपने भी कंफर्म कर दिया? No problem. So let's move further. हाँ हाँ, ठीक 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 ठीक, sorry. Therefore, the time limit to issue the notice is 4 years 6 months from the due date of filing of annual return for the financial year to which the demand pertain or the date of the refund that we have discussed a lot. Now let me move to the penalty component. Ki how much is the penalty? Now the law provide an opportunity to the person chargeable with the tax, interest and penalty equivalent to 15% of the tax. हेमंत, एक पॉइंट मैं आपको बताता हूं, एक अच्छी चीज आपको बताता हूं आपकी. You have just now asked one thing, that sir, why it is written that person chargeable with tax, why not taxable person, right? Gyanendra, you have also asked yesterday that 2 crore will be C or S, something like that. Okay. You all will continue this habit after completion of CA as well, because that type of the minute reading will help a lot in your professional growth. Matlab, let's say you are doing the practice or you are part of any litigation team, any firm, anything you are joining, then these type of the minute reading will change the outcome of any case. So therefore, just I like to appreciate that this type of the concept or minute reading, you please continue. And all the participant, to all my student, this point I'm saying that minute reading का habit बहुत होना चाहिए. ठीक है sir, we filed annual return. क्या लिखा बेटा आपने? Sir, we filed annual return early, then counting from the due date or the date of the filing? For go and see the language. See, the problem is it will, if you file the early, then the time limit will be counted from which date? 5 years from the due date. Still, it will be counted from due date. Why it will be counted from due date? Because if you filed early, और अगर अर्ली से काउंट होगा तो डोंट यू थिंक दैट ऑर्डर का टाइम लिमिट कम हो जाएगा डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से? डोंट यू थिंक दैट टाइम लिमिट ऑफ ऑर्डर विल बी रिड्यूस्ड? टाइम लिमिट उसका कम हो जाएगा ना. तो therefore they are always using the word, most of the time they are using the word due date. But जहां पर आपको ITC लेना है, where you like to take the ITC or where you like to take the reduction of the tax liability by way of credit note, तो उन्होंने कहा 30 नवंबर, और वहां पे ड्यू डेट नहीं है, वहां पे एक्चुअल डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग है, डेट ऑफ फर्निशिंग ऑफ एनुअल रिटर्न. करेक्ट. तो वहां पे बेनिफिट है, आपका टैक्स पेयर का बेनिफिट है, तो उन्होंने कर्टेल कर दिया. Shall we proceed, Gyanendra? Law provide an opportunity. Okay. The law provide an opportunity to the person chargeable with the tax to pay the tax interest penalty equivalent to 15% of the tax before the issuance of the notice. Jimmy, your reply is not coming. Everything is okay? आपको समझ आ रहा है? कोई डाउट है तो मेरे को पूछ लेना. Otherwise, you mostly active, but today you are not active. The law provides an opportunity the person chargeable with the tax to pay the tax interest and penalty of 15%. अब यहाँ पे ध्यान रखना, प्लीज पॉइंट टू बी नोटेड, यहाँ पे पेनल्टी का रिलैक्सेशन ही है. पेनल्टी तो देना ही होगा. Why penalty need to be payable? Because the intention was malified, fraud, willful misstatement. Therefore, the penalty has to be given. Only the smaller amount of the penalty, 15%. 15% टैक्स का होगा, 15% वैल्यू का नहीं होगा. The 15% would be of the tax component before the notice. Let me go to the. So I can say if tax along with interest is penalty, then how much percentage of the penalty? 15% of the penalty. Okay. Therefore, the person who is chargeable with the tax but has not paid the tax, so short paid, erroneously refunded, etc., may voluntarily come forward to pay the tax along with interest penalty before SCN. In such case, he has to pay the tax, interest, and penalty of 15%. It can be either on the basis of his own ascertainment or it can be on the basis of the ascertainment by the proper officer. Further, he need to inform the officer in writing of the payment, where such person has made partial payment of the amount communicated to him or desire to file any submission against the proposed liability, he may make submission in the prescribed form. Such voluntary payment can be made even if the mistake pointed out by the department before issuance of the so-called notice. So the same language, 74.8, where the person is chargeable with the tax, not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, wrong taken, ITC, etc., have to pay the penalty equal to 15% before SCN and resulting no SCN being issued thereafter. He has another chance to discharge the liability, tax, interest, and kitna penalty? 25% within 30 days from so-called notice. Let me go. So how much I should write? Same, but the penalty quantum is 25%. ठीक है, सॉरी 35 हो गया मेरे से. 25. ठीक है. All proceedings shall be deemed to be concluded. In other words, where the person pay the tax along with interest and the penalty of 25 within 30 days from the SCN, all proceeding shall be deemed to be concluded. But अगर 30 दिन के बाद क्रॉस हो गया तो जितनी भी पेनल्टी है इक्वल टैक्स, दैट पेनल्टी विल बी लीविड. रिलैक्सेशन नहीं होगा. Adjudication, where SCN or statement is issued to the person chargeable with the tax, he may furnish the representation to the proper officer in his defense. If he is of the view that he is not liable to pay the tax, whole or part of the amount mentioned in the SCN. The officer, after considering the representation made by the person, pass an order determining the amount of the tax, interest, and penalty due from that person. Where any person served with an adjudication order pay the tax along with interest and penalty equal to 50% of the tax. जिसको order issue हो चुका है and pay the tax along with 50% of the tax within 30 days as penalty, all proceedings shall be deemed to be concluded. It means यहां पर पेनल्टी का क्वांटम कितना हो गया? 50%. ओ माय गॉड, काम भी तो ऐसे किया ना इसने. 1 मिनट है. So after paying the tax, interest, and penalty as determined by the PO, can the supplier go for protest? You mean to say to avoid the prosecution for protest means, or you mean to say, do you mean to say appeal? हेमंत और हेमंत, जीनी एंड ज्ञानेंद्र, एक चीज गौर कीजिए. प्लीज इंश्योर while making the reply to me, while making the message to me, please do not select my name. It is coming my name. Please select everyone. I have given the option you can make the reply to everyone. So ताकि सभी लोगों को दिखेगा आपका. Suppose I am the officer and I have raised the penalty etc. for Mr. A. Then he has to pay the tax, interest, and penalty. Okay. To get the fully agree with you. Jyoti has absolutely given the correct reply. That there is a mechanism the appeal. We'll discuss that also. That is also in your syllabus. Appeal में क्या होता है? Appeal में you get the chance to fight the same. You will get the chance to fight the same. And when you are making the appeal, only 10% has to be deposited, not full amount. 10% of the tax you deposit, you can file the appeal. Agar appeal is favorable, perfectly okay. If not favorable, you have the further level of mechanism like go to the tribunal, go to the High Court, then go to the Supreme Court. There is so much stages are there. So you can fight always, you can protest always. Now, what is the time limit for passing adjudication order? The proper officer shall issue the adjudication order within 5 years from the due date of furnishing annual return, to which the tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, not erroneously, wrongly availed or utilized relate, and in case of the refund, it will be counted 5 years from the due date of refund. 44(1) stipulate the time limit of annual return is 31st December. For the purpose of section 73 and 74, the expression all proceeding in respect of said notice is not include proceeding under section 132. Now try to understand. That is very, very good thing. Now there is we have used the word shall be deemed to be concluded. All proceeding in respect of the said notice shall be deemed to be concluded. It says that all proceeding does not include the proceeding under section 132. What is 132? 130 talks about the multiple offenses for prosecution. Therefore, the person can be prosecuted under GST law even if no further demand can be raised for the tax, interest, penalty. The person can be prosecuted under GST law even if no further demand can be raised for tax interest penalty, prosecution in criminal court is independent and in addition to the penalty imposed under GST law. ठीक है. Where the notice under the same proceeding is issued to the main person liable to pay the tax and some other person. Such proceeding against the main person have been concluded in 73-74. The proceeding against all the person liable to pay the penalty under section 122 and 125 are deemed to be concluded. See, दो बड़े इंटरेस्टिंग है कि अगर 73-74 की प्रोसीडिंग कंप्लीट हो गई तो इसे क्या माना जाएगा? इट विल बी डीम्ड दैट ऑल प्रोसीडिंग इन रिस्पेक्ट ऑफ सेड नोटिस इज डीम्ड टू बी कंक्लूडेड. उसमें क्या इंक्लूड नहीं है? 132 इंक्लूड नहीं है. क्यों? 132 will be always like prosecution, it can be go beyond the penalty of the GST law. Second point, sometime if a notice is issued to the company, correct, now try to understand this and it will be very nice. Provision relating to 122, 125, that we will discuss in the next chapter, offenses and penalties. ठीक है. Sometime let's say notice has been issued to the company and notice may also be issued to the executive director, employees, etc. for the same cause of action. Correct. होता है ना कि भाई कंपनी को नोटिस इश्यू किया और साथ में उन्हें लगा कि Mr. A, who was the director, he is also responsible or he is due negligence is imposed this type of the action. तो उन्होंने नोटिस क्या किया? डायरेक्टर को भी इश्यू कर दिया, एमडी को भी इश्यू कर दिया. In that case, these are called as co-noticing. ठीक है. While company is the main noticee, अगर कंपनी हैज पेड द टैक्स, इंटरेस्ट, पेनल्टी, व्हाटएवर 73, 74, अगर वो कंक्लूड हो गया, then it means conclusion of the proceeding against the main noticee would be deemed to be concluded against all co-notices and the entire case will stand closed. I hope it is clear. तो पहले क्या चीज इंक्लूड नहीं है? 132 इंक्लूड नहीं है. क्या को नोटिस विल बी डीम्ड टू बी कंक्लूडेड? आंसर इज यस. अगर मेन नोटिस के साथ जो प्रोसीडिंग है उसने अगर पे कर दिया, देन इट विल आल्सो बी डीम्ड टू बी कंक्लूड टू ऑल द को नोटिस ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर ऑर्डर. ठीक है. नाउ फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ दिस एक्ट, द सप्रेशन, हाँ, इन्होंने एक सप्रेशन वर्ड को डिफाइन किया है. सप्रेशन का मतलब क्या है? means non-declaration of the fact or the information which a taxable person is required to declare in the written statement, reports or any other document furnished under this act. तो कई बार हमें ये लगता है ना, see sometime the field in the GST return, the field in the GST return, if you have properly reported, will help a lot to say that you are not covered in the suppression. Assume that, say for example, you have reported outward supply through e-way bill, correct? You have reported the movement of the goods in the GSTR in the e-way bill, but you have forgot to report in the GSTR1. Will it be suppression of the fact? Then probably you can fight. See, depend upon the multiple circumstances. We have to decide. We can't say only on one fact, but I'm just giving you one example. If you have reported in the e-way bill, it means you have disclosed only part that yes, I have forgot to report, but it cannot be the suppression of the fact because something has been disclosed on the government portal itself. Correct. Or failed to furnish intimation being asked in writing by the proper officer. Thus, definition of suppression is very, very clear that only if the information that was required to be disclosed in the GST law and it is in the written statement report or where specific query was raised and is not disclosed would amount to suppression. It is not the duty of the taxable person to disclose each material fact to the department if it is not asked for. Correct. Now let's take a break of 10 minutes and we will resume at 7:10. And हम ये difference हम already बना चुके हैं, but still we will discuss this table. Okay. Take break of 10 minutes max. मनीष जी 10 मिनट का ब्रेक स्टार्ट. So we have completed section 73. We have completed section 74. We have also made the chart, but let me read the chart. Tax amount along with interest paid before the notice, no penalty, and here the 15% would be the penalty. Tax amount along with interest paid within 30 days from the notice, again no penalty, 25% of the penalty. Tax amount along with interest paid within 30 days from the communication of the order, 10% of the tax or 10,000, whichever is higher. Here 50% of the tax amount payable is as penalty. All the proceeding deemed to be concluded. And if it is paid after 30 days, then 10% of the amount or 10,000, whichever is higher, 100% of the tax would be the penalty. Okay. Now the table B, it says that normal case time limit is within 2 years 9 months from the due date of filing of annual return or from the date of refund. And time limit for issuance of the order within 3 years from the due date of filing of annual return. Fraud cases, that 4 years 6 months and then 5 years. No, any amount collected as tax but not paid. Is there any time limit applicable? No time limit. Why no time limit? That we will discuss subsequently. There is a provision 75 subsection 12 subsection 13 that we will discuss. Okay. Non-payment of self-assessed tax. Will there be require any so-cause notice? Answer is no. There is no requirement of so-cause notice. And recovery proceeding can be directly. Again, we will discuss subsequently in this chapter. Now, the CBIC has decided the monetary time limit for issuance of the so-cause notice by the different level of the officer. If the officer is superintendent, then he can not exceeding 10 lakh. What is the monetary limit for him? Not exceeding 10 lakh. If it is CGST, if it is IGST, 20 lakh. And CGST and IGST both, then it will be 20 lakh. If he is a deputy commissioner or assistant commissioner, then the limit would be above 10 lakh and not exceeding 1 crore. ये किस चीज की बात कर रहे हैं? Let's read again. Board has assigned the officer mentioned in the table below the function as the proper officer in relation to the issue so-cause notice and order under 73-74 up to the prescribed monetary limit of tax, including cess, not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, etc. अगर 10 लाख तक की डिमांड है, then yes, superintendent has the power. But if the demand is more than 10 but up to 1 crore, the power would be to the deputy commissioner or assistant commissioner. And if it is 1 crore more, no limit, no upper limit, then additional commissioner or the joint commissioner. Okay. Now the central tax officer of the audit commissionerate and director general of goods and service tax intelligence, it is called a DGGST, but sometimes we are saying DGGSTI, will exercise the power only to issue so-cause notice. An SCN issued by them shall be adjudicated by the central tax officer of the executive commissioner in whose jurisdiction the notice is registered. Now, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Try to understand practically. Let's say Mr. A is registered in, let's say Delhi, and location is assuming that Gandhinagar. When he will apply for GST registration, obviously there will be some jurisdiction. कोई भी GST number जब allot होता है तो there will be one jurisdictional officer. Let's say he got the GST jurisdictional office at CGST Delhi ITO. Okay. Now, whenever the notice of 73, 74, it will be issued, the notice will always be issued by this jurisdictional officer and he will adjudicate the matter. And then appeal would be another office. But there are certain department to which there is having the pen in their jurisdiction. DGGST, like one example. DGGST of Delhi can do the search, can do the finding, or let's say Hyderabad also. Hyderabad taxpayer. DGGST can go to the Hyderabad taxpayer, identify, etc. But suppose they are doing so, what they have the right? They can have the right only to issue SOCOS notice. Once they will issue the SOCOS notice, and after that adjudication will be done by this jurisdictional officer of the taxpayer. The jurisdictional officer will do the assessment and then issue the order. After SCN, they will stop the matter, then they will redirect the matter to the respective jurisdictional officer. ठीक है. In case SCN have been issued on the similar issue to the notice and made answerable to the different level of adjudicating authority within a commissionerate, such SOCOS notice should be adjudicated by the adjudicating authority competent to decide the case involving the highest amount of the central tax or integrated tax. That has been clarified by Circular 31. Now 75. Very important. These are the general provision which has to be taken care while determining the tax. What are the general provision? General provision relating to determination of the tax are contained in section 75. These provisions are applicable both in case of the determination of the tax not paid, short paid, etc. 75 subsection 1. When the service of the notice or order is stayed by an order of the court or tribunal, the period of the stay shall be excluded in computing the period of the issuance of the notice or adjudication order as the case may be. What is the time limit to issue the SOCOS notice? What is the time limit to issue the order under section 73, 74? That we have all discussed. तो उस टाइम में अगर कोई स्टे ऑर्डर है, किसी कोर्ट ने कहा कि भाई स्टे है अभी, then stay period will be excluded while calculating the time limit. ठीक है. In case charges of the fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of the fact is not established for a notice issued in the fraud case, tax to be determined, deeming that demand notice to be issued in the normal case. Now, very interesting. Suppose one authority, adjudicating authority, has issued the notice under section 74. Correct. And he has issued the order under section 74. Now, if this 74 is not sustainable, let's say the taxpayer has made the appeal against this order, and let's say appellate authority or appellate tribunal, this is first level of appeal, this is second level of appeal, and this is third level of appeal. See, if the taxpayer is not satisfied with the order of adjudicating authority, then appeal will be made to the appellate authority. It is also called as commissioner appeal. If not satisfied with the commissioner appeal, then again they can make the appeal to the tribunal. Not satisfied, can go to the High Court. Not satisfied, then can go to the Supreme Court. अगर assume कीजिए कि appellate authority is saying that it is not the fraud case, then what happened? Then if it is not sustainable because the charges of the fraud is not ascertainable or not established against the person, then officer will determine the tax payable. Will he have to initiate process, entire process again? No. It will be deemed that notice which has been issued under 74, it will be deemed that notice has been issued under 73. Very interesting things has been clarified by the CBIC in this case. एक circular था. Let me read that. I hope it has been given. One second. 185. So we have discussed 75 subsection 3. We have discussed the 75 subsection 3. Let me read the one para of the circular, and we'll come back again in the next discussion. What is the clarification? Clarification that, read first line. In some of the cases where the so-called notice has been issued by the proper officer under section 74(1), demand of the tax not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, or ITC wrongly availed or utilized, the appellate authority or the tribunal or the court conclude the said notice is not sustainable under 74(1), because the reason that charges against the person have not been established. Okay, and direct the proper officer to redetermine the amount of tax payable by the noticee under section 73 in accordance with the provision of 75(2). Now, what would be the time period for redetermination of the tax interest penalty payable by the notice in that case? एक बार मैं वापस ऊपर आता हूं. हमने 75(2) पढ़ा था. Let's read 75(3) also. Let's read this also, then we'll go back to the clarification. Where any order is required to be issued in pursuance of the direction of authority, tribunal, or the court, such order shall be issued within 2 years from the date of the communication. तो अभी एक हमने क्या कहा कि 74 का ऑर्डर मान लिया जाएगा कि 73 का प्रोसेस में इश्यू है, लेट्स से नोटिस है, और अब ये क्या कहता है, ऑर्डर उसको इश्यू करना पड़ेगा विद इन 2 ईयर. ठीक है. नाउ what was the doubt and what was the clarification given by the CBSE in this regard? तो अभी क्वेश्चन क्या था? क्वेश्चन ये था कि that as if the notice have been issued under 73(1), notice have been issued under 73(1) in accordance with the provision of 75(2), what would be the time limit of the order redetermination of the tax interest penalty payable by the noticee in this case? Okay. Section 75(3) says the time limit is 2 years from the date of the communication of the direction. So जिस दिन मुझे डायरेक्शन मिला, उस किससे डायरेक्शन? अपीलेट अथॉरिटी, ट्रिब्यूनल और कोर्ट. From that direction within 2 years, the order has to be issued. So prima facie it appears accordingly, in case where the direction is issued by the authority, tribunal, or the court to redetermine the amount of the tax payable under section 73 in accordance with the provision of, the officer is required to issue the order within 2 years, but within the time limit as specified in 75(3), that is 2 years. ठीक है. Very simple point. It is clarified. Yes. Now further read. How the amount payable by the noticee deemed the notice to have been issued in 73 shall be recomputed, redetermined in case where the amount of the tax interest penalty payable by the notice is required to be redetermined by the officer. The demand would have to be redetermined keeping in consideration the provision of 73(2) and 73(10). Okay. Therefore, in case where the officer has to redetermine the amount of the tax interest penalty, under section 73, the same can be redetermined for so much of the amount of the tax short paid, etc., which was issued within the time limit under section 73(2) या 73(10). क्या मतलब हुआ? Suppose, एक बार quickly answer करना, what is the time limit to issue the so-called notice for 73 and what is the time limit to issue the so-called notice for 74? Quickly tell me, what is the time limit to issue the so-called notice in 73 and 74? 73 it is 2 years 9 months and 74 is 4 years 6 months. Okay. Now let's say, now you tell me, suppose this is 24, we are talking about 24, 25, and the so-called notice has been given on 31st December 2028 under section 74. Is it within the time? Is it within time? Is it within the time? 74. Is it within the time under section 74? Now tell me, notice or order for which the direction has been given, that assume that it will be under section 73. Now the direction was from the court or tribunal or the appellate authority, that kindly assume that it is the notice of 73(1). 73(1). And then कितना टाइम लिमिट में ऑर्डर इश्यू करना है फ्रॉम दैट डायरेक्शन? कितना टाइम लिमिट में ऑर्डर इश्यू करना है? हाउ मच टाइम लिमिट टू इश्यू द ऑर्डर? द ऑर्डर टाइम लिमिट इज 2 years. अभी मैं 75 की बात कर रहा हूं. सेक्शन 75 सबसेक्शन 3 says that from the direction of the court we have to issue the order. The officer has to issue the order within 2 years. But problem क्या है मालूम? Problem क्या है? Whether this was within the time limit of 73. क्या ये within the time limit of 73 था क्या? This so-called notice was within the time limit of 73. Answer is no, because time limit to issue the notice under section 73 will expire on 30th September 2027. I can say this was not within the time limit of 73. But अभी doubt हुआ क्या ये जो notice issue हुआ, for which the direction was that kindly treat under 73(1) and then issue the order within 2 years. Can the officer do so? Can the officer do so? How it has been clarified. SCN was issued within the time limit of 7310. Only the amount of the tax short paid, not paid, wrongly availed or utilized or erroneously refunded can be redetermined where the notice was issued within 2 years 9 months from the due date of furnishing of annual return or from the date of the erroneous refund. So in this case, the redetermination will not possible. Will not possible because it is time barred notice under section 73. ये नोटिस अपने आप में 73 में टाइम बार्ड हो चुका, उसके बाद इश्यू है, इट इज नॉट सस्टेनेबल एट ऑल, नल एंड वॉइड. ठीक है. In case where the SCN under section 74 was issued beyond a period of 2 years 9 months, like our example, from the due date of furnishing of annual return, in that case, the appellate authority concludes that notice is not sustainable in 74, thereby deeming under section 73, the entire proceeding has to be dropped because it will be hit by the limitation of the time as specified in 73. बिल्कुल क्रिस्टल क्लियर हो गया ना? एकदम क्रिस्टल क्लियर हो गया. आई होप इट इज क्रिस्टल क्लियर टू ऑल. In case where the SCN in terms of 74 was issued within 2 years 9 months, then the entire amount of SCN would be covered under redetermination because it was within the time limit of 73. Where the SCN was issued for multiple financial year and the notice had been issued before the expiry of the 73(2) for one financial year, but after the expiry of other financial year. ठीक है. Then the amount payable under 73 shall be redetermined only in respect of that financial year जिसके लिए time period 73(2) का expire नहीं हुआ है. Before the expiry means the notice has been issued before the expiry of the time limit. Very very clear. जो आपने 74(1) का जो 74(2) में जो नोटिस इश्यू किया है, if it is within time of 73 then it is okay for redetermination, otherwise it is time barred. Regarding the fake invoicing, they have also clarified very nice point, which we will discuss in some time. But let me complete first 75 altogether. Now, the opportunity of hearing shall be granted where the request is received in writing from the person chargeable with the tax or where any adverse decision is taken against such person. So this I have discussed yesterday also. It is a principle of natural justice being granted to by Indian Constitution. It cannot be violated. Adjournment of hearing is possible three times. The proper officer, if sufficient cause is being shown by the person chargeable with the tax, grant the time to the said person and adjourn the hearing to be recorded in writing. However, such adjournment shall be granted for maximum three times to a person during the proceeding. Absolutely correct, beta. Adjournment, adjudication order should be the speaking order. That is also very nice. मतलब क्या है? The officer shall set out the relevant fact and what is the basis of his decision. मतलब क्या हुआ? Let's say there is a order in the section 74 and they have not given what is the basis. No base has been given why they are feeling that it is intention was mollified, fraud case. क्यों उन्हें ऐसा लगता है? If the order is not speaking again, the order itself is void. Non-compliance of 75. What is the section 75? Certain principle which has to be followed. General principle for issuing the notice and order. Tax, interest and penalty demanded in the order not to exceed the amount specified in the notice. Yes. Notice has been issued for two matters and in the order they have added one more matter. Is it sustainable? No. They are saying order should be not go beyond the notice. Order should not go beyond the notice. Amount of the tax, interest, penalty shall not be in excess of the amount specified in the notice and no demand shall be confirmed on the ground other than the ground specified in the notice. मतलब ना तो अमाउंट एक्सीड कर सकता है और ना ही कोई ग्राउंड एक्स्ट्रा हो सकता है इन द ऑर्डर कंपेयर टू द नोटिस. हाँ, ये बात क्लियर है. अगर कोई टैक्स का मॉडिफिकेशन होता है बेस्ड ऑन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ द अथॉरिटी, ट्रिब्यूनल और कोर्ट, तो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंगली पेनल्टी एंड कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंगली इंटरेस्ट विल आल्सो बी मॉडिफाइड. ठीक है. Where the appellate authority or tribunal or the court modify the amount of the tax determined by the proper officer, the amount of the interest penalty shall stand modified accordingly, taking into account the amount of the tax or specified. Now the penalty of now the payment of interest mandatory even if not satisfied in the adjudication order. Interest on the tax short paid, not paid shall be payable whether or not specified in the order determining his tax liability. Payment of interest mandatorily even if not specified in the order. हाँ, interest is auto calculated. मतलब अगर उसको ऐड नहीं किया तब भी उसका कैलकुलेशन विल बी ड्रिवन. Interest shall be payable whether or not specified in the order. Adjudication order, it should be within the time limit. The GST law ensure timely disposal by providing that if adjudication is not issued, if the adjudication order is not issued within the time limit of 3 years in normal case or 5 years in the fraud case, then the adjudication proceeding shall be deemed to be concluded. Now it says that in case the appeal filed by the department against the decision of the authority, tribunal or court, period between the date of decision of the higher authority and that of the lower authority will be excluded. क्या मतलब? An issue on which appellate authority or tribunal the High Court has given its decision which is against the department, ठीक है, in some other proceeding and an appeal to the tribunal, High Court, Supreme Court against such decision is pending, then the period spent between the date of the decision of lower authority and that of the higher authority will be excluded. For what? In computing the time limit of adjudication order if the proceeding are where in proceeding are initiated under 73 74. जो टाइम लिमिट ऑफ ऑर्डर है ना, उस ऑर्डर को इश्यू करने का जो टाइम लिमिट है उसमें वो पीरियड एक्सक्लूड करेंगे. वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस दैट if there is any stay, that period will be excluded. And second, we have discussed here, if appeal has been made by the department against any decision, then उतना period वो exclude होगा. ठीक है. Now amount of the self assessed tax, this is important. हमने अभी just ऊपर पढ़ा था, we have just discussed that self assessed tax, no time limit, no SCM. Correct? Why? Let's read. 75 subsection 12 says that amount of the self-assessed tax remain unpaid to be recovered under section 79. It says that direct recovery. मतलब अगर self assessed tax है ना, अगर ये है self assessed tax, no SCN, no SCN, मतलब आपको सोकोज नोटिस इश्यू करने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है. What is the self assessed tax? I have told one point that this is the self assessed tax. एक बार बताएंगे what is the self assessed tax? जो एक पॉइंट मैंने आपको बताया था. One point I have told you that what is the self assessed tax, 1 versus 3B. Absolutely correct. 1, notwithstanding anything contained in 73 74. Now try to understand. It is this 7512 is overriding 73 and 74. It means the provision of this 75 subsection 12 will override the provision of 73 74. And therefore, in this case, they are saying if something is being covered in the 7512, it means self-assessed tax, then no SCN is required. Why no SCN is required? Because it is overriding 73 74. Why direct recovery can be made? Let's read. Where any amount of the self-assessed tax in accordance with the return furnished in section 39, that is GSTR 3B, remain unpaid either wholly or partly, or any amount of the interest payable remain unpaid, the same shall be directly recovered under the provision of section 79. We'll discuss in this chapter. What is the 79 recovery process? We will discuss in this chapter, either today or in the next class. The expression self-assessed tax include the tax payable as per GSTR 1 but not paid in the GSTR 3B. So मैंने क्या कहा? The 1 minus 3B, GSTR 1 minus GSTR 3B. GSTR 1 minus GSTR 3B is nothing but the self-assessed tax. ठीक है. The scope of the term self-assessed tax is wide enough, and hence the recovery proceeding can straight away be initiated by the proper officer for the outward supply shown in the R1 if not reflecting in 3B. In other words, where the tax payable in respect of the details of outward supply furnished in GST R1 has not been paid through 3B, either wholly or partly, or any amount of the interest payable on such tax remain unpaid, then in that case, the tax short paid on such self-assessed tax shall admitted liability and the self-admitted liability and interest are liable to be recovered under section 79. क्लियर हुआ ना? एक बार वापस पढ़ लेते हैं. The scope of the self-assessed tax is wide enough, and hence recovery proceeding can be straightway initiated if it has been reported in the R1 but not reported in 3B. In other words, where the tax payable is furnished in the R1 but not paid in 3B, then or any interest is payable in the tax remain unpaid. In such case, the tax short paid of self-admitted liability and the interest are liable to be recovered under section 79. ठीक है. However, the difference / mismatch between the R1 and 3B may arise due genuine reason. जैसे कोई टाइपोग्राफिकल मिस्टेक है, a typographical error wrongly reported details in R1 or wrongly reported details in 3B, which may be rectified in the subsequent R1 or 3B. Quickly tell me, what is the time limit to do the rectification? What is the time limit of rectification of the mistake? What is the time limit of rectification of the mistake in the GST R1? What is the time limit to rectify the mistake? It is also applicable on GST R1 as well as in 3B also, मतलब same time limit है. Only 30th November. Only 30th November. Only 30th November or something else. 30th November of next year or ड्यू डेट. नो 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 नो, यहाँ पे ड्यू डेट नहीं है बेटा, यहाँ पे एक्चुअल डेट ऑफ फर्निशिंग ऑफ एनुअल रिटर्न है. हियर यू विल नॉट फाइंड द ड्यू डेट. 30th November or furnishing of annual return, actual furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. ठीक है, ठीक है बेटा. Or where the supply could not be declared in the GSTR1 of an earlier tax period, though tax on the same was paid by correctly reporting in the GSTR3B, details may now be reported in the R1 of the current tax period. तो इन्होंने क्या किया? CBIC has issued the instruction number 1/2022. It says that in case of the mismatch between R1 and 3B, in case of the mismatch between R1 and 3B, the officer may first send a communication to the registered person to pay the self-assessed tax or explain the reason within a reasonable time. Recovery proceeding under Section 79 will be initiated by the officer only when the said person either failed to reply or failed to make the payment or failed to explain the reason. मतलब क्या हुआ? Normally it says that it is a direct recovery, but it also recognizes that typographical error can be possible or wrong reporting on R13B is possible, and we have the time limit to rectify the mistake. Therefore, they are saying that before initiation of recovery proceeding, communication has to be given to the registered person. Tell that kindly pay the tax or explain the reason. Anybody can tell me 1 minus 3B. 1 minus 3B. Is there anything which we have discussed in any rule? If GSTR1 is higher than 3B, कुछ हमने पढ़ा था क्या इसके रिगार्ड में? Whether we have discussed anything anywhere in the law? Some DRC forms, whether we have discussed DRC 01B, DRC 01C, have we discussed these forms? Have we discussed the rule 88C and rule 88D? Have we discussed the rule 88C and rule 88D? क्या था वो? यही था ना, 1 3B and 2B 3B. एक था 1 3B के ऊपर और एक था 2B 3B के ऊपर. 1 3B, if the liability was declared in the one but not paid in 3B, obviously, or they are considering higher amount. As of now, they are considering higher amount, 20%, 25 lakh, whatever. But they are saying the automatic system will give the notice, and in the notice, it is not a notice, it is an intimation. It is an intimation. I cannot use the word notice. They will send the intimation, system itself will send the intimation, give the time limit of 7 days within which they can give the reply or they can explain. They can give the reply or they can explain. And it is automatic. Everything is automatic. Correct? DRC 01B and DRC 01C. So this is based on the concept of this particular, basically I can say. Recovery proceeding will be initiated only when the said person either failed to reply or failed to make the payment or failed to explain the reason. Okay. Then only this recovery will be initiated. Now, in case The penalty being imposed under 73-74. No other penalty to be imposed for the same act or omission. This concept is basically the double jeopardy. It is a concept of double jeopardy. मतलब क्या हुआ, एक ही ऑफेंस के लिए एक ही पर्सन को दो बार पेनलाइज नहीं किया जाएगा. Means one person cannot be penalized twice for the same offense. Means, like, let's say there is a one offense for which the officer is raising the demand in 73. Also, they are raising the demand in 122. 75 subsection 13 says that you can't do this. अगर एक पेनल्टी आपने इंपोज की 73-74 में, तो दूसरी पेनल्टी फॉर सेम एक्ट ओमिशन कैन नॉट बी इम्पोज्ड ऑन द सेम पर्सन अंडर दिस एक्ट. ठीक है, दिस इज द डबल जियोपार्डी कॉन्सेप्ट. So this circular we have discussed, correct? Now, second clarification in the various issues relating to the applicability of demand and penalty under GST in respect of the fake invoicing. Number of the cases has been noticed where the registered person are found to be involved in issuing the fake invoices without actual supply in order to enable the recipient to avail and utilize the fraudulent ITC. Circular number 171 dated 6th of July clarify the applicability of the demand and penalty provision under the CGST Act in respect of such transaction involving the fake invoicing. What is the issue? In case where a registered person has issued the tax invoice to the another registered person B without any underlying supply of the goods or services. मतलब A ने क्या किया? Fake invoice issue किया B को. Fine. Whether such transaction will be covered in section 7. तो जो ये transaction है, what is the section 7? Supply. So will this transaction is a supply under section 7? Point number 1. ठीक है. So इसका आंसर रीड कर लेते हैं. Since there has only been a issuance of tax invoice by A to B without underlying supply of the goods or services, therefore such activity does not satisfy the criteria of the supply under section 7. तो A से B को जो मूवमेंट हो रहा है, नहीं, सिर्फ इनवॉइस का मूवमेंट, एक्चुअल गुड्स का मूवमेंट नहीं है, तो circular has clarified that it cannot be the supply. Okay, as there is no supply by A to B in respect of the tax invoice, therefore no tax liability will arise against A for the said transaction. तो A ने जो B को सिर्फ फेक इनवॉइस इश्यू किया है, it is not the supply, therefore no tax liability is arised. Accordingly, no demand and recovery is required to be made against A under the provision of 73 and 74. ठीक है, ये बात तो उन्होंने क्लेरिफाई कर दी. ए के अगेंस्ट में 73 74 तो इनिशिएट नहीं हो सकता. ठीक है. Now second point, whether any demand can be made in respect of the said transaction under 73 74, it has been clarified. Now third question, whether any penal action can be taken against that person A in such case. No penal action under the provision of 73 or 74 is required to be taken against A in respect of said transaction. The registered person A shall, however, be liable for the penal provision under section 122, subsection 1, clause 2 for issuing the tax invoice without actual supply of the goods. ठीक है, यहां पर एक बात हुई है, ए के अगेंस्ट में क्या होगा? ओनली पेनल्टी अंडर सेक्शन 122 सबसेक्शन क्लॉज 2. लेट्स रीड सेकंड केस. Registered person A has issued the tax invoice to another registered person B without underlying supply of the goods or services or both. ठीक है, avail the ITC on the basis of that tax invoice. तो A ने क्या किया? B को फेक इनवॉइस इश्यू किया एंड बी ने क्या किया, सी को फेक इनवॉइस इश्यू किया। लेट्स, तो बी ने सबसे पहले इस फेक इनवॉइस के बेस पर आईटीसी लिया, करेक्ट। A issued the tax invoice to another registered person without underlying supply of the goods or services. B availed the ITC on the same. B further issued the tax invoice with underlying supply of the goods or services both to his buyer and utilized the ITC on the basis of above mentioned invoice issued by, sorry, एक मिनट देना। So now B further issue invoice along with underlying supply the goods or services or both to his buyer and utilize the ITC availed on the basis of above mentioned invoice issued by A for payment of his tax liability in respect of the said outward supply. चलेगा? Whether B would be liable for the demand and recovery of the said ITC along with penal action under section 73 or 74. Now, ITC can be taken when we satisfied all the condition of 16.2, which talks about goods or services should be received. And in this case, B has taken the ITC only on the basis of fake invoice. He does not have received the goods or services, right? Since the registered person B has availed and utilized the fraudulent ITC without receiving the goods or services, therefore, it is the contravention of 16.2b. He shall be liable for the demand and recovery of the said ITC along with penal action under section 74 with interest. Further, as per 75 subsection 13, क्या है ये? Double jeopardy. You cannot penalize one person for same offense twice. If penal action has been taken against B under section 74, no penalty can be levied under this act, like 122. So for the said fraudulent availed can be imposed on B under any other provision and including no penalty can be imposed under any other provision including section 122. So this part is also clarified. तो A और B तो clarify हो गया. Now let's move to for the third point. A registered person A has issued the tax invoice to the another registered person B without supplying the goods. B availed the ITC on the basis of said tax invoice. Further, he passed the ITC to the C by issuing invoice again without underlying supply the goods. A ने B को किया, B ने सेम काम C के लिए किया. Whether B will be liable for the demand and recovery and the penal action under the provision of 73 to 74 of this act. Now let's read the answer. Again, in this case, ITC availed by B in the credit ledger on the basis of tax invoice without receipt of the goods will be liable for passing the has been utilized by B for passing the ITC by issuing the tax invoice to C without underlying supply. As there is no supply by B to C in respect of some say transaction, no tax is required to be paid by B in respect of the same. तो क्या हुआ? The ITC availed by B in his credit ledger on the basis of the tax invoice issued by A without goods or services, there will be no supply between B to C. And also no tax is required to be paid. Therefore, in these specific cases, no demand and recovery of either ITC wrongly availed by B in such case or tax liability in respect of said outward supply is required to be made under the provision of 73-74. However, in such case, B shall be liable for penal action under both, that is 122.12 and 122.17 for issuing the invoice without actual supply of the goods and also for taking or utilizing the ITC for without actual receipt of the goods or services. Correct. I hope you are able to understand the difference between B and C. Second and third second example. Let me again tell you in my own word. A has supply. A has only issued the invoice without supply. ठीक है, no penalty on A under section 73-74, but he will be liable under penalty 120 to 12. Question number 1 closed. Question number 2, whether B who has taken the wrong ITC, और B ने क्या किया, C को actual supply किया. This was actual supply. एंड जो B ने C को सप्लाई किया एक्चुअल सप्लाई, तो क्या B ने क्या किया, B has taken this ITC, wrong ITC for the actual tax liability, for actual tax liability. क्या B के अगेंस्ट में कोई पेनल्टी होगा 73-74 में? आंसर इज यस, इट कैन बी पेनलाइज अंडर सेक्शन 74. अब तीसरा जो केस है, A ने B को फेक इनवॉइस इशू किया, B ने C को भी फेक किया. यहां पे सिर्फ फेक का ट्रांजेक्शन हो रहा है. जब बी की कोई लाइबिलिटी नहीं थी, तो बी ने जो आईटीसी लिया और आईटीसी को यूज किया, इस आईटीसी के लिए भी 74 विल नॉट बी यूज्ड, कैन नॉट बी अप्लाइड. दे आर सेइंग दैट बी टू सी इट इज आल्सो नॉट टैक्स पेबल. ठीक है, तो यहां पर इसको 122(1)(2) में एक पेनल्टी लगेगी बिकॉज ऑफ इनवॉइस विदाउट गुड्स, एंड ये पेनल्टी फ्रॉडुलेंट आईटीसी 122 की लगेगी, बट नॉट इन द 73-74 बिकॉज देयर इज नो सप्लाई. एक बार वापस तीसरा एग्जांपल रीड करते हैं, वेरी नाइस एग्जांपल. आंसर रीड कर लेते हैं, अपने को क्लियर हो जाएगा. इन दिस केस द आईटीसी अवेल्ड बाय बी on the basis of tax invoice issued by A without actual receipt of the goods has been utilized by B for passing the ITC by issuing the tax invoice to C without underlying supply. करेक्ट, यहां पे उसने आईटीसी को यूज नहीं किया फॉर द एक्चुअल टैक्स लाइबिलिटी. ओके, एज देयर वाज नो सप्लाई ऑफ द गुड्स और सर्विसेज और बोथ by B to C in respect of said transaction, no tax was required to be paid by B in respect of the same. The ITC availed by B on the basis of invoice issued by A without actual receipt is ineligible. In this case, there was no supply between B to C. In respect of said transaction, and also no tax was required to be paid. Therefore, in these specific cases, no demand and recovery can be made either ITC wrongly availed or fraudulently availed by B in such case, और पहला इसके अगेंस्ट में आईटीसी जो रॉन्गली अवेल्ड की है, इसमें भी 73-74 का डिमांड नहीं बनेगा, और दूसरा जो उसने टैक्स लाइबिलिटी in respect of the said outward supply by B to C is required to be made under 73, तो यहां पर 73-74 का रिकवरी नहीं बनेगा. However, they are saying that yes, 122(1)(2) for issuing the invoice without supply of the goods, and 122(1)(7) for taking or utilizing the ITC without actual receipt of the goods. The penalty would be leviable under 122(1). ठीक है, so by this we have completed this part. Let's take again break of 10 minutes. We will resume at 8:10 and we'll discuss further. ठीक है. Okay, fine. So we have completed the circular. The fundamental principle that have been outlined in the above scenario may be adopted to decide the nature of the demand and penal action to be taken against a person. For such activity, actual action to be taken against the person will depend upon the fact and circumstances of each case and complexity about the matter. ठीक है? A person who has retained the benefit, this is very, very important. Yesterday I told you that the 122(1)(a) was inserted at a later stage to take the action on the mastermind. Or I told you na, that some Mr. A who is having the multiple labors, so he has taken the GST registration in the name of the labor. इन द नेम ऑफ द लेबर्स, तो उसने क्या किया, अब लेबर के नाम पे जीएसटी नंबर ले लिया, ही इज डूइंग द फेक ट्रांजेक्शन एंड इन्वॉल्विंग इन द फेक आईटीसी. नाउ व्हेन द डिमांड इज बीइंग रेज्ड अगेंस्ट द लेबर, nothing is being recovered, but the department could not be able to catch the mastermind because there is no specific provision in the GST law. They have used the 122(1)(a) and they have started with the word any person. मतलब आप 122 देखोगे ना, when you will read the 122, it is applicable on taxable, but mastermind is not the taxable person. He is only playing the game. He is not the taxable person. He is not the registered person. Therefore, they have intentionally made inserted 122(1)(a) with the word any person who has retained the benefit of the transaction and at whose instances transactions are conducted, he shall be liable for the penalty under section 122. What is 122(1)(a) that we will discuss in the penal provision, but yes, it is liable. And this section says that even tax can be recovered by attaching the property as well. It may be noted that in such case of the wrongful or fraudulent availment of or utilization of ITC, or in case of the issuance of the invoice without supplying, leading to the wrongful availment and utilization of ITC, provision of section 132 may also be invoked, subject to the condition based on the fact and circumstances of each case. Kindly tell me when the power to arrest can be happen. Power to arrest का provision कब applicable होगा? Please tell me, whatever you can recall. Same has been happened in our client case also. Oh, great. तो fraudulent मतलब क्या 74 का केस था या 122(1)(a) का था? Okay, mastermind wala 122(1)(a). Oh, great. So you might have the good experience, Jyoti, probably ना. आप क्या करते हैं? You are from which location? You are from which location? Very nice. तो very nice, very nice, very nice बेटा. तो पावर टू अरेस्ट कब होगा? पावर टू अरेस्ट कब होगा? अगर 132(1) का क्लॉज ए, क्लॉज बी, क्लॉज सी एंड क्लॉज डी वाला ऑफेंस है तो, और अमाउंट कितना? हाउ मच इज द अमाउंट? प्लस अमाउंट इज मोर देन 2 crore. Yes, then direct arrest can be happen. Amount is more than 2 crore, then direct arrest can be happen. And Hemant, you are absolutely right that 132(2) के केस में, repeat offender के केस में, nothing amount is being specified. कोई भी amount हो, any amount, then arrest can happen in case of repeat offender. But हम ज्यादा बात नहीं कर रहे because we will discuss in detail in 132(2). ठीक है. Now, tax collected but not deposited. 76 says that I have collected the tax but I have not deposited. Then what is the provision? The provision of these sections are based on the principle that nobody should be unjustifiable unrich in the name of the revenue. जैसे मैंने कहा कि अंडरलाइंग सप्लाई एग्जेम्प्ट थी, but still he has collected the tax in the name of GST, and he is keeping with him. He become unjustifiable rich in the name of the GST. So that is not being permissible. If any amount is collected in the name of the tax, same must be deposited with the government. Such situation may arise in case when the tax is collected on any supply, but the tax is not deposited to the government, or where the tax is collected on which tax is not leviable at all, and thus tax collected is not deposited with the government. The detailed provision of these sections has been discussed here in under. Amount representing the tax collected from any person to be paid to the central government, notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in any order or direction of appellate authority or appellate tribunals or court, or in any other provision or any other rule for the timing in force, every person who has collected from any other person any amount as representing the tax and has not paid the said amount to the government shall forthwith pay the said amount to the government, irrespective of whether the supply was taxable or not. 76(1) क्या कहता है? अगर अमाउंट टैक्स के नाम पर कलेक्ट किया है किसी भी पर्सन से, तो ये जो अमाउंट कलेक्ट किया, इट हैज टू बी डिपॉजिटेड टू द गवर्नमेंट इवन दो सप्लाई वाज टैक्सेबल और नॉट, इट इज इमटेरियल. So cause notice, where any amount is required to be paid to the government and which has not been paid, officer may serve the person liable to pay the such amount a notice requiring him to show cause why the amount as specified in the notice should not be paid to the government, why the penalty equivalent to the amount specified in the notice should be imposed under the provision of this act. Then determination of the amount due. The proper officer shall, after considering the representation, determine the amount due from such person, and thereupon such person shall pay the amount so determined. Interest. The person who has collected any amount as tax but not deposited to the government, in addition to pay the tax, he is also liable to pay the interest under section 50. Interest is payable from the date on which the amount was collected and the date on which the amount is deposited to the government. Opportunity of the being heard will always be given. Time limit for issuance of the order shall issue the order within 1 year from the date of the notice. However, if the order is stayed by an order of the court or tribunal, the period of the stay shall be excluded in computing the 1 year. Order must be speaking order. Set out the relevant fact and the basis of its decision. Amount paid how does the PO knows about it? See, various source could be there. For example, there would be the certain scheme. There is a scheme of the state that you can informer. So suppose you have taken the tax, you have taken the tax from a person, but you come to know that it is a composite dealer. Then it is wrong. You know that particular supply is exempted, but still is collecting the tax. So you can be the informer to the department. That could be one source. Inspection, on the basis of inspection, it could be possible. Or random search, they could identify. Or for example, they are doing the search with Mr. A, and while doing the search, they could identify that his inward supply liable for 5% tax, but that supply was exempted. So there could be the multiple source. ठीक है. amount paid to the government shall be adjusted against the tax payable in relation to the supply referred to in subsection 1. ठीक है? Where any surplus is left after the adjustment, then it will be either credited to the consumer welfare fund or it will be refunded to the person who has borne the incidence of that tax, that amount. Who has borne the incidence? Ultimate consumer. Correct? The person who has borne the incidence may apply for the refund in accordance with the provision of section 54. मैं बार बार रिपीट करता हूं, how he can apply the refund, the process is not being defined, but still I would say that we have discussed one case that unregistered person is also entitled to take the refund because section 54 subsection 1 is starting with the word any person. Quickly tell me, जब हम रिफंड के चैप्टर की बात कर रहे थे, when we were discussing about the refund chapter, we have talked about refund to unregistered person in two category. Can you tell me in which category we have talked about refund to unregistered person? हमने दो कैटेगरी का वहां पे बात किया था, refund to unregistered person. Can you tell me what are the two category that we have discussed in the refund chapter? Any idea? Do you remember? No problem. हमने एक बात किया लॉन्ग टर्म इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसीज और एक हमने बात की थी परचेज ऑफ द फ्लैट. मींस suppose I have taken the flat from one builder and the contract says that I can cancel within a period of, let's say, 3 years. Then I went to the builder that now I like to cancel, let's say it is 3 years about to expire, so I have the right as per the contract. So my contract is cancelled, then he has given the refund. Now when he will give the refund, he cannot give including GST because the time limit to issue the credit note has been expired. Correct? So let's say I have paid rupees 15 lakh plus assuming that 75,000 is the tax. Let's say it is 5% taxable. तो क्या होगा? This 75,000 I can take the refund, I can apply for the refund to the government, and for which the GST portal they have made the mechanism that how the unregistered person can apply for the refund. In the same case, like this section 54, the unregistered person can apply for the refund. Tax wrongfully collected and paid to the central government or state government. ये बात हमने डिस्कस की थी रिफंड के चैप्टर में. What was that provision? A has made the supply to B by treating the transaction as interstate. So he has collected IGST and paid the IGST to the government. But subsequently, it come to know that it is intrastate supply. Then section 77 says, again pay the correct tax and take the refund of wrong tax. What is the wrong tax? IGST. He will take the refund of wrong tax, that is IGST. Will the interest be applicable in this case? Tell me, will the interest be applicable in this case? We have already discussed, right? Na? Absolutely. Please confirm. We have already discussed this provision, right? In the refund chapter. Interest लगेगा? The answer is no. Interest लगेगा? Thank you. Thank you, Hemant. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Gyanendra. Interest लगेगा नहीं. क्वेश्चन ये आता है, लेट्स से इसने ये ट्रांजेक्शन पर टैक्स पे किया था एज्यूम 1/1/2022 में. Refund can be taken within a period of how much year? A refund can be taken within a period of how much year? रिफंड कितने टाइम में लेना होता है? वी हैव टू अप्लाई द रिफंड विद इन ए पीरियड ऑफ 2 years फ्रॉम द रिलेवेंट डेट. Relevant date, correct? 2 years from the relevant date. And in this case, if I will apply the refund on, let's say, 16th of Feb, then my refund would be time barred. Will I be entitled to take the refund? My question to all of you, the 2 year for refund of IGST, the 2 year would be counted from this date or the date when I paid the correct tax. Let's say I paid the correct tax on 1st Feb. जो 2 साल की काउंटिंग है वो किस तारीख से होगी, क्योंकि आई एम टेकिंग द रिफंड ऑफ आईजीएसटी, और इस डेट से absolutely correct. For this, they have made new rule, Rule 89, new sub rule 1A, which talks about that in case of Section 77, the relevant date would be when I pay the correct tax. Absolutely, Ginny, Hemant, Gyanendra, everyone is correct. Provision पढ़ लेते हैं. A registered person who has paid the C or S, as the case may be, on a transaction considered by him as an intra, but which is subsequently held to be inter, shall be refunded subject to such condition and restriction as may be prescribed. Registered person who has paid the IGST on a transaction considered by him to be inter, but which is subsequently held to be inter, shall not be required to pay any interest on the amount of C and S, or as the case may be, CGST and UTGST. Similar provisions are there in the section 19. What is the language of the section 19? Let's read. Section 19 provides that a registered person who has paid IGST considered by him to be an inter, but which is subsequently held to be interstate supply, shall be granted the refund of the amount of the IGST so paid in such manner, subject to such condition as may be prescribed. A registered person who has paid CGST and SGST, or as the case may be CGST and UTGST, on a transaction considered by him intra, but which is subsequently held to be inter, shall not be required to pay. एक क्लैरिफिकेशन था विद रेस्पेक्ट टू सब्सिक्वेंटली हेल्ड. तो यहाँ पे इन्होंने कहा दैट क्लैरिफिकेशन वाज कि यहाँ पे एक वर्ड यूज किया हुआ ना, सब्सिक्वेंटली हेल्ड. तो ये सब्सिक्वेंटली हेल्ड will it be by the proper officer only, और ये by taxpayer on his own motion भी हो सकता है, उससे उसने डिटरमाइन किया. own determination, will it include, or it will always have to be identified by the proper officer? That was the doubt. So they have issued the circular and clarified that subsequently held cover both the cases where inter or intra made by the taxpayer is either subsequently found by the taxpayer himself, or where it has been subsequently found by the tax officer. कोई भी, for instance, scrutiny, assessment, audit, investigation, or adjudication, appellate, or other proceeding. Accordingly, a refund claim under the said section can be claimed by the taxpayer in both the above mentioned situation, provided by the taxpayer pays the required amount of the tax in the corrected. Example, Ram Associate, a registered person, pays the IGST on a transaction treated the same as inter by mistake. It is an intrastate supply. In this case, Ram Associate has to pay the correct tax without interest, and he can thereafter claim the refund of IGST. And I am adding the word 2 year would be counted the time when he paying the correct tax. Absolutely correct. Now the recovery proceeding, which we will start in the next class, but let me take the revision. आज हम रिवीजन करते हैं. कुछ रिवीजन हम आज के चैप्टर का करेंगे और कुछ रिवीजन हम पीछे वाले चैप्टर का भी करेंगे. ठीक है, जो भी रिवीजन हमने पीछे वाले चैप्टर में पढ़ा था ना, विल ट्राई टू रिवाइज सम मोर प्रोविजन ऑफ द लाइक असेसमेंट हो या जो भी हमने डिस्कस किया है. रेडी? इज इट ओके? क्विकली कंफर्म करो. चलो, कुछ भी रैंडमली क्वेश्चन मैं पूछूंगा आपसे एंड यू हैव टू गिव मी द आंसर. ठीक है. टेल मी, एक मिनट रुकना. टेल मी what is the time limit to issue the notice under section 74? First couple of questions I will ask from this chapter and then I will move to the previous chapters. What is the time limit to issue the so-called notice under section 74? Absolutely correct. 4F61. Would it be counted from the due date of annual return or would it be counted from actual date of return? Annual return. From the due date of annual return. Correct. Now, what is the time limit to issue the order if there is a direction from the court, tribunal, or appellate authority? What is the time limit to issue the order? What is the time limit to issue the order if there is a direction from the court, tribunal, etc.? The time limit is 2 years. Time limit is 2 years. Okay. Fine. Now tell me, if original order was issued under section, original notice has been issued under section 74, but the court, tribunal, appellate authority are saying that it is not the reason of the fraud, then will the entire proceeding to be initiated again or it will be converted 74 as if it is a 73? क्या उसे वापस पूरा प्रोसेस स्टार्ट करना पड़ेगा ऑफिसर को, या it will be deemed that such notice was issued under section 73? It will be deemed that such notice was issued under section 73. Correct? So answer is yes, it will be deemed that such notice was issued under section 73. And the order which has been issued, the notice which has been issued in 74, is it mandatory that it has to be issued within the time limit of 73, or it is okay even if it is issued without beyond the time limit of 73? Is it mandatory कि वो जो 74 का नोटिस है it has to be issued within 2 year 9 month, तभी वो केस आगे चल सकता है, या कोई इशू नहीं है, it can be even after the time limit as well, no problem, it can be continue in the 73? विद इन द टाइम लिमिट ऑफ 73 होना चाहिए, तभी वो केस 73 में कंटिन्यू हो सकता है, अदरवाइज नहीं हो सकता. You discussed one concept of double jeopardy. What was that concept? Can you explain if time permit? Entire concept related to immovable property under RCM or FCM, who will pay the tax? डेफिनेटली ज्ञानेंद्र, मुझे थोड़ा सा टाइम दीजिए, या तो आज नहीं तो नेक्स्ट क्लास में डेफिनेटली ये वाला पॉइंट कवर कर लेंगे. मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि आई विल टेक टुडे, एंड इफ नॉट देन आई विल डेफिनेटली टेक इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि वी विल हैव द सी एनी पार्टिसिपेंट want any discussion on any chapter, please tell me in the tomorrow, in the next class on Saturday I would be able to take, because I feel now we have the very lesser part of this chapter. जैसे ज्ञानेंद्र आपने मुझे कहा कि मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ आरसीएम एफसीएम में सारे परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन आई विल डिस्कस विद यू. आज नहीं करते क्योंकि इसमें थोड़ा सा टाइम लगेगा. आई हैव टू कवर सीरियल नंबर 5, सीरियल नंबर 5A एंड 5AA ऑल्सो. 3 सीरियल कवर करना पड़ेगा. उसके बाद में एग्जेम्पशन नोटिफिकेशन सीरियल नंबर 12 करना पड़ेगा. We have to discuss the proviso also, clarification given by the CBIC also. तो इसको ना नेक्स्ट क्लास रख लेते हैं. It will take approximate 30-40 minutes. So we will take up in the next class. In the same pattern, any participants, Jyoti, Ginny, Hemant, anyone, if you need any discussion in the next class, kindly tell me either today or you can tell me on the same day also, no problem. But जैसे मुझे ज्ञानेंद्र ने बता दिया तो I will be try to make some PPT if possible. ठीक है. अगर आप भी कुछ चाहते हैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में, because we would be able to spend some time on other topic, because the chapter next part is slightly, we have covered a lot today. We have covered a lot of things today. तो मेरा क्वेश्चन क्या था, what is the concept of double jeopardy? डबल जियोपार्डी का कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है? डबल जियोपार्डी का कॉन्सेप्ट है कि if any action has been taken 73 or 74, no other penalty can be levied in the provision of this act. Like one cannot be penalized in the 73-74 as well as cannot be penalized in the 122, for example. Now, दो पेनल्टी नहीं लग सकती. Absolutely correct. Natural of principal justice we have discussed. What is that? नेचुरल ऑफ प्रिंसिपल जस्टिस वी हैव डिस्कस दैट. वो क्या था, हमने कहां डिस्कस किया था कि नेचुरल ऑफ प्रिंसिपल जस्टिस फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. व्हाट डज इट मींस? व्हाट डज इट मींस? द नेचुरल ऑफ द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस फॉलो करना पड़ेगा. व्हाट डज इट मींस? अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ बीइंग हर्ड देना पड़ेगा. It has to be heard. That party should be heard. Explain. Correct. He has to give the opportunity so that he can discuss, he can share why he is not agree, why he is agree, और क्या कहना चाहता है. At least opportunity of being heard देना ही पड़ेगा. Absolutely correct. All the participants. Now, A ने B को tax invoice issue किया without supply the goods. A has issued the tax invoice to B without supply the goods. Whether it is a supply as per section 7, whether it is a supply as per section 7, no, it is not the supply. तो can A be penalized under section 73-74? क्या 73-74 का पेनल्टी ए पर लगाया जा सकता है? नहीं. तो टेल मी व्हाट पेनल्टी कैन बी लेविड ऑन मिस्टर ए. व्हाट पेनल्टी कैन बी लेविड ऑन मिस्टर ए? आंसर इज 122 सबसेक्शन 1 का क्लॉज 2. सेक्शन 122 सबसेक्शन 1 क्लॉज 2. एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. नाउ सेकंड एग्जांपल. A has given the invoice to B. B has taken the wrong ITC. B has given the invoice to C. B has utilized this wrong ITC against the invoice of C. अब मुझे बताइए B के अगेंस्ट में can the 73-74 का पेनल्टी be levied because of wrong ITC? Try to understand again example. मैं रिपीट करता हूं क्वेश्चन. A ने B को फेक इनवॉइस इश्यू किया, B ने C को फेक इनवॉइस इश्यू किया. क्या B टू C का ट्रांजेक्शन इज ए सप्लाई एज पर सेक्शन 7? क्या B का ट्रांजेक्शन इज ए सप्लाई एज पर सेक्शन 7? आंसर इज नो. B टू C इज ऑल्सो नो. इट इज नो. ज्ञानेंद्र दोनों कंफर्म किया था, ये नहीं है. तो B को जो टैक्स पे करना था ऑन इनवॉइस टू C, जो उसने आईटीसी यूज किया फॉर डिस्चार्जिंग द टैक्स लायबिलिटी ऑफ सी, वेदर इट इज ए सप्लाई, आंसर इज नो. देयरफॉर इन दिस केस मैंने जानबूझकर आई हैव आस्क्ड डायरेक्टली क्वेश्चन 3 टू क्रिएट द कंफ्यूजन. मैं रिपीट करता हूं. ए ने बी को किया, बी ने सी को किया. ए के बेस पर जो आईटीसी बी लेता है और उस आईटीसी को यूज करता है सी के अगेंस्ट में, तो बी के ऊपर 74 कैन नॉट बी लेविड. Let me discuss that part once again. I have asked the question, third question. इसने क्या कहा? Try to understand. Therefore, in this specific case, No demand and recovery, either ITC or tax liability can be levied in 73-74. इस केस में बी के ऊपर दो तरह की पेनल्टी लगेगी. पहली पेनल्टी 120 to 12 की, बिकॉज बी टू सी का सप्लाई पे, और दूसरी पेनल्टी 120 to 17 फॉर इशूइंग द इनवॉइस विदाउट एक्चुअल सप्लाई ऑफ द गुड्स, and sorry, with for taking the ITC without actual receipt of the goods. Sorry. और किस केस में बी के ऊपर 74 की पेनल्टी लगेगी? सिचुएशन नंबर 2. क्या हुआ? ए ने बी को इनवॉइस इश्यू किया, बी ने आईटीसी ली, और बी उस आईटीसी को यूज कर रहा है फॉर एक्चुअल ट्रांजेक्शन, एक्चुअल टैक्स लाइबिलिटी. बी अगर एक्चुअल कोई सप्लाई है, उस सप्लाई के लिए जो टैक्स बनता है उसके लिए वो रॉन्ग आईटीसी यूज कर रहा है, तो 74 की पेनल्टी लगेगी. Is that clarified? Because why the point is, no one was sure that which penalty to be levied on these transactions. Correct. Only 74 and interest and penalty. Absolutely correct. एक बार 74 की पेनल्टी बता देंगे. If before so cause notice, person is ready to pay the tax and interest, then what is the quantum of penalty? 15%. After the so cause notice, but within 30 days, what will be the quantum of the penalty? 25%. After those, listen, this is the new point. After the so cause notice, but after the 30 days, what would be the quantum of penalty? Before order, after SCN, after 30 days, before order, what could be the quantum of the penalty? 100%. बड़ा टिपिकल केस है. The penalty का quantum would be 100% in this case, because the law giving the advantage only for 30 days. लॉ ने वेव किया है 30 डेज तक के लिए. एक्चुअल पेनल्टी तो 100% है, बट दे हैव गिवन द रिलैक्सेशन, लाइक इफ यू पे द बिफोर एससीएन मात्र 15, आफ्टर एससीएन विद इन 30 डेज मात्र 25, आफ्टर ऑर्डर विद इन 30 डेज इवन 50, आफ्टर नो ज्ञानेंद्र, आफ्टर ऑर्डर विद इन 30 देन 50. सी कितनी मस्त सिचुएशन बनी है ना. एक को एक नोटिस इश्यू हुआ और वो नोटिस के 30 दिन बाद पे करना चाहता है. कितना पे करना पड़ेगा? 100%. बट अगर उसको ऑर्डर इश्यू हो जाता मान लो 50 दिन में, एंड उस ऑर्डर के बाद वो 30 दिन में पेमेंट कर देता है, व्हाट इज द क्वांटम ऑफ पेनल्टी? 50. यहां पे डिफरेंस है. यस, डिफरेंस है 100%. आई डू अग्री दैट अर्लियर वो 100% दे रहा है, अब वो 50 दे रहा है. पॉसिबल, बिकॉज द रिलैक्सेशन हैज बीन गिवन ओनली फॉर द सर्टेन कंडीशन. अगर वो कंडीशन फुलफिल होती है तभी वो रिलैक्सेशन मिलेगा. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट आफ्टर 30 डेज देन अगेन 100% पेनल्टी लगेगी. इन विच केस the requirement to issue the notice is not applicable and direct recovery can be made. कब डायरेक्ट रिकवरी की जा सकती है और नोटिस इश्यू करना रिक्वायर्ड नहीं है? इन विच केस द नोटिस कैन बी डायरेक्टली इश्यू, सॉरी, नोटिस इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू बी इश्यूड, डायरेक्टली रिकवरी कैन बी मेड. कब? सेल्फ असेस्ड टैक्स और एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट, और कलेक्टेड बाय रिप्रेजेंटिंग द टैक्स. दो पार्ट था ना. एक तो थी सेल्फ असेस्ड टैक्स, जिसको हम सेल्फ डिक्लेयर्ड लाइबिलिटी बोलते हैं. 1 में डिस्क्लोज कर दिया, 3B में पे नहीं किया. एंड सेकंड इज टैक्स कलेक्टेड बट नॉट पेड. अच्छा, टैक्स कलेक्टेड बट नॉट पेड beyond a period of how many days? Self assessed tax अगर मैंने पे नहीं किया विद इन हाउ मेनी डेज, तो डायरेक्ट रिकवरी हो सकती है, एंड दे विल नॉट वेट और दे विल नॉट रिक्वायर टू बी इशू एनी नोटिस. 30 days. Answer is 30 days. 30 days, absolutely correct. Now tell me, if there is a delay filer of GSTR 3B, but let's say I am the taxpayer and I have filed the 3B after 4 months, after 3 months, will the 74 or 73 can be initiated against me, or they can recover the tax? Answer is no. Answer is no. क्यों नहीं? It could be the general penalty. That is worst situation. That is, again, I can say unnecessary. They've added the word, and by which unnecessary 50,000 ka penalty has been, matlab, it is possible that officer can raise the penalty of that 50,000. Anyway, but at least एक बात सही, एक बात कंफर्म कर दिया कि सेल्फ असेस्ड टैक्स, इवन इफ इट इज नॉट पेड विद इन 30 days बट एक्चुअली पेड, तब उसके केस में 73 74 नहीं लग सकता, क्योंकि ये 73 11 73 का ही पार्ट है. द सेल्फ असेस्ड टैक्स 73 11 टॉक्स अबाउट दैट नॉट विद स्टैंडिंग वट एवर एनीथिंग कंटेन्ड. तो इसमें क्या कहा इन्होंने? इन्होंने कहा कि डायरेक्ट रिकवरी बन सकती है, लेकिन आज तक अगर टैक्स नहीं पे होता तब, अदरवाइज नो प्रॉब्लम, यू आर नॉट बी लायबल फॉर 73 74 द टैक्स हैज ऑलरेडी बीन पेड. ऑर्डर शुड बी स्पीकिंग ऑर्डर, व्हाट डज इट मींस? ऑर्डर शुड बी स्पीकिंग ऑर्डर, व्हाट डज इट मींस? क्या मतलब होता है इसका कि स्पीकिंग ऑर्डर होना चाहिए? इसका मतलब क्या है? ऑर्डर शुड बी स्पीकिंग ऑर्डर, व्हाट डज इट मींस? Explain all the details related with demand and based on which the demand is raised. रीजन बताओ, कारण बताओ, क्यों आपको लगता है कि मैं मालाफाइड इंटेंशन है मेरा, क्यों ऐसा लगता है कि आई एम द फ्रॉड केस. ठीक है, तो ये आपको बताना पड़ेगा. द in order to calculate the limitation time period of like 2 year 9 month 3 year 5 year etc, some period would be excluded. Can you tell me which period would be excluded? Which period would be excluded? Which period would be excluded? The period during which the demand is stay. एक तो स्टे वाले पीरियड एक्सक्लूड करना है, और दूसरा, एक तो स्टे वाला पीरियड एक्सक्लूड करना है, और दूसरा, अगर कोई फर्दर किसी मैटर पर डिपार्टमेंट ने अपील कर दी, देन डिसीजन ऑफ द लोअर अथॉरिटी एंड डिसीजन ऑफ हायर अथॉरिटी, उसके बीच का पीरियड इस 2 साल 3 साल और 5 साल की काउंटिंग में एक्सक्लूड करना है. ठीक है. नाउ वी हैव डिस्कस द मॉनेटरी लिमिट फॉर सम ऑफ द ऑफिसर. मॉनेटरी लिमिट फॉर इश्यूएंस ऑफ द सो कॉज नोटिस बाय द डिफरेंट लेवल ऑफ द ऑफिसर. कुछ बता सकते हैं? डू यू हैव एनी रिमेंबर दैट पर्टिकुलर पार्ट? 10 lakh फॉर विच ग्रेड? सुपरिटेंडेंट, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. उसके ऊपर तो ज्योति, यू मीन टू से अबाउट 10 लाख एसीडीसी, तो उसकी कोई अपर लिमिट है या वो अनलिमिटेड है? करेक्ट, अप टू 1 करोड़. करेक्ट, अप टू 1 करोड़. एसी मतलब एडिशनल कमिश्नर. एसी मींस एडिशनल कमिश्नर. एसी मींस एडिशनल कमिश्नर, राइट ना? हाँ, असिस्टेंट, याद रखना. एडिशनल कमिश्नर विल बी इक्विवेलेंट और हायर देन द जॉइंट कमिश्नर. एडिशनल कमिश्नर क्या होता है? जॉइंट के ऊपर होता है. और लेवल क्या होता है? असिस्टेंट, उसके बाद डिप्टी, उसके बाद जॉइंट, उसके बाद एडिशनल, उसके बाद कमिश्नर. सीजीएसटी की बात कर रहा हूं. और कमिश्नर के ऊपर प्रिंसिपल कमिश्नर, प्रिंसिपल कमिश्नर के ऊपर चीफ कमिश्नर. सो ये हायरार्की होती है. ठीक है. अगर मैं एसी और डीसी की बात करूं तो यहां पे एसी का मतलब क्या, असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर। और 1 करोड़ से ऊपर कौन इश्यू कर सकता है? इफ इट इज मोर देन 1 करोड़ देन जॉइंट कमिश्नर या एडिशनल कमिश्नर। एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट, वेरी नाइस बेटा। एक बार मुझे क्विकली बता सकते हैं पेनल्टी का स्लैब रेट इन केस ऑफ 73? व्हाट इज द स्लैब रेट इन केस ऑफ 73? What is the slab rate in case of 73? Slab rate मतलब before SCN, after SCN within 30 days, after order within 30 days, after order after 30 days, तो something like that. सबसे पहले मुझे बताइए before SCN how much is penalty? Before SCN how much is penalty? No penalty? Correct. After SCN how much is the penalty? After SCN how much is the penalty? After so cause notice how much is the penalty? No penalty if it is within 30 days. Assume that only it is the stage of so cause notice but 30 days is crossed. Will the penalty be leviable? ऑर्डर अभी तक नहीं आया, ऑर्डर अभी तक नहीं आया, बट 30 दिन क्रॉस हो गया, क्या पेनल्टी लगेगा? यस, 30 दिन का टाइम है, तो 30 दिन को अगर क्रॉस कर दिया तो पेनल्टी लगेगा। ऑर्डर हैज बीन इशूड विद इन 30 days, हाउ मच इज द पेनल्टी? ऑर्डर हैज बीन इशूड एंड it is within 30 days, how much is the penalty? 10% or 10,000, whichever is higher ki whichever is lower? Whichever is higher या whichever is lower? सर हायर, नहीं तो मैक्सिमम पेनल्टी 10,000 होगी, नहीं तो मैक्सिमम पेनल्टी 10,000 हो जाएगी, राइट? तो 10,000 और 10% ऑफ द टैक्स विच एवर इज हायर, एंड इफ इट इज पेड आफ्टर 30 days तो परसेंटेज क्या होगा पेनल्टी का? व्हाट वुड बी द परसेंटेज? व्हाट वुड बी द परसेंटेज? सेम परसेंटेज सर, सेम परसेंटेज। Now, interestingly, we have discussed one thing, that all proceeding in respect of said notice will be deemed to be concluded, which this deemed to be concluded will not cover one proceeding. Which proceeding will not be covered? Which proceeding will not be covered in this case? Section 132. Section 132. And can you give me the reason why it is not included? Can you give me the reason why it is not included? Any reasoning? कोई reasoning? Okay. The reason is जो भी क्रिमिनल कोर्ट का जो प्रोसेस होता है, क्रिमिनल कोर्ट का जो भी प्रोसिक्यूशन होता है, इट विल बी इंडिपेंडेंट एंड कैन बी ओवर एंड अबव टू द जीएसटी लॉ। तो 132 जीएसटी में क्या है? प्रोसिक्यूशन की बात करता है, इट टॉक्स अबाउट द प्रोसिक्यूशन, देयरफॉर they are saying even if it is deemed to be concluded all proceeding, but it will never include 73 74. Then we have discussed if this proceeding is concluded, then it will be concluded for, और पढ़ा था ना कि एक जगह तो हमने पढ़ा इट विल नॉट इंक्लूड, दूसरी जगह हमने पढ़ा कि इट विल बी डीम्ड टू बी कंक्लूडेड फॉर ऑल पर्सन, ऐसा कुछ पढ़ा था। कैन यू टेल मी व्हाट वाज दैट? इफ द नोटिस डीम्ड टू बी कंक्लूडेड फॉर one person, then it will be deemed to be concluded for other person। को नोटिस वाला बात, को नोटिस वाला बात। सो क्या कहा इसने, को नोटिस को भी अगर ऑर्डर किया कौन कौन से सेक्शन में, देर इज टू सेक्शन कवर्ड विच वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस इन सब्सिक्वेंट क्लास। बट को नोटिस के अगेंस्ट में अगर कोई पेनल्टी इशू की है, नोटिस दिया है या पेनल्टी लेवी की है इन दीज टू सेक्शन, 73 74 मेन पर्सन के अगेंस्ट में लगाया गया, द पेनल्टी हैज बीन लेविड ऑन द को नोटिस अगेंस्ट दैट पर्टिकुलर को नोटिस अंडर द प्रोविजन ऑफ अदर टू सेक्शन। 73 74 तो है ही है, बट 122 एंड 125, 122 एंड 125 अब क्या होगा, ये डीम टू बी कंक्लूड हो जाएगा। एंड लास्ट, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ सेपरेशन। एक बात और हमने पढ़ी थी कि व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ सेपरेशन, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ सेपरेशन। What is the meaning of separation? Separation means something which is required, something which is required on a statement, on return, or is being asked for and has not been given or had not been disclosed, then only it is separation. It is separation. ठीक है, therefore it is always advisable to file all the return, to give the proper reply if they are asking some document. मैक्सिमम कितनी बार हम लोग एक्सटेंड करवा सकते हैं, वी कैन टेक द एक्सटेंशन मैक्सिमम हाउ मच टाइम्स, वी कैन टेक द एक्सटेंशन मैक्सिमम हाउ मच टाइम्स। Answer is 3 times. If interest is not specified in the notice, can they recover? If interest is not specified in the notice, can they recover? Answer is yes. Can they recover anything else if it is not been specified in the notice? अगर नोटिस में कोई फैक्ट नहीं दिया है बट क्या ऑर्डर में वो ऐड कर सकते हैं? कैन दे ऐड इन द ऑर्डर? नो। ओके, कैन द नोटिस का अमाउंट इज लोअर एंड ऑर्डर का अमाउंट इज हायर फॉर टैक्स पार्ट, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट इंटरेस्ट यू हैव ऑलरेडी कंफर्म। टैक्स के लिए ऐसा हो सकता है कि नोटिस कम अमाउंट का है और ऑर्डर में उसने ज्यादा अमाउंट डिटरमाइन किया, विल इट बी पॉसिबल? नो, इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल। एंड वी हैव डिस्कस्ड वन इंटीमेशन इन द फॉर्म, सम फॉर्म हमने बात किया था, याद है कुछ, कि इसमें और इसमें डिफरेंस है, तो ये इंटीमेशन आपको सिस्टम डायरेक्टली आ जाएगा। इफ देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन 1 and 3B, देन व्हिच फॉर्म वी हैव डिस्कस्ड? DRC01B एंड DRC01C, मतलब एक लाइबिलिटी के लिए था और दूसरा ITC के लिए था। व्हाट इज द टाइम लिमिट हैज बीन गिवन? within 7 days he has to clarify, otherwise सिस्टम जनरेटेड नोटिस आएगा, उसको रीजन देना पड़ेगा या उसको पे करना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज he would not be able to what, otherwise what happen if he has not furnished the reply within 7 days or not paid the tax within 7 days, then what? Not able to file the return. It is not the so cause notice, it is the intimation. It is not the so cause notice, it is the intimation. He cannot file the subsequent return, he cannot file the subsequent return, उसके बाद में वो रिटर्न फाइल नहीं कर सकता। अगर 1 और 3B में डिफरेंस है, क्या डायरेक्ट रिकवरी होगी या उसे कुछ पूछा जाएगा, मतलब whether something intimation has been given, whether, see, I'm not talking about the DRC1B, I'm not talking about the DRC1C, will they give some intimation before initiating the direct recovery? Obviously yes, they have given the instruction number 1 that proper officer before initiating the recovery under section 79 they will give the communication and ask that why there's a difference, because there could be possible clerical difference, which can be rectified in the subsequent GST return right now. So therefore, it is possible. It is possible. I hope any question you may ask. Otherwise, we are good to close today class. We will discuss the balance part of this chapter in the next class. Only small portion. I will take up the matter of Gyanendra, who has asked about the RCM. And if you ask on that day, I will clarify the things. But yes, any question, happy to take. Thank you very much. Good night to all of you. Done, sir. Done, sir. Thank you.